Guys, what is up? I'm sorry. My eyeball. It's painful. Hey guys, what is up? I'm gonna be tapping on some things in my room, in the general vicinity of where I am. I don't have anything planned. I'm just gonna go grab it and tap on it. For the video, well, I'm talking about things that preclude young earth creationism. And so, if you don't know, basically, young earth creationism is like, it's like where people take like Genesis super literally instead of like cosmic temple, you know, like maybe it's figurative or stuff like that, where they're like, the earth is 6,000 years old. Yeah, stuff like that. So, it's a passion of mine to learn about like anthropology, biology, stuff like that. I really like the concept of debunking young earth creationism. So here are some of my favorite YouTubers that do it, like Gutsy Gibbon and Dapper Dinosaur and Creation Myths and Paul, I can't pronounce it, but yeah, that's literally all that I watch on YouTube all the time. The only thing I watch on YouTube. So yeah, I watch that, or I watch gaming, Cub Scouts. So I think we can get into it stuff. So I didn't plan this, like, I'm standing. Usually I'm sitting, but today I'm standing. There's my window. Pretty cool. I got grandma curtains. But yeah, I don't have anything planned. I'm just gonna like rattle it off. And basically my sources are the YouTubers. It's mostly Gutsy Gibbon because I like all of her like things that she says that are reasons why young earth creationists can't be a thing. Okay. So I'm gonna find something to tap on, and then I'm gonna get started. My first thing, which will be the heat problem. Okay, I found something to tap on. So basically, I'll just explain young earth creationist first because you need to like know it to get. So one of the reasons why young earth creationists can't be a thing is because they say that the world is 6,000 years old, and we have this thing called radiometric dating, which is how we date the earth and rocks, you know. So that's how we know like this dinosaur bone was from the I don't know, like from the Triassic or something like that, you know. That's how we know where certain things are for, because we can count so there's like this thing called mother elements, and they are parent elements, and they decay into daughter elements, and they have like a half-life. So depending on the amount of daughter element in the parent element, we can tell how old it is because they decay at a certain rate. So we have these rocks and stuff that say that the earth is however many billion years old, and they're saying, well no, it only looks like that because God sped it up during Noah's Ark. And this is one of the most important things in the heat problem, because radiometric decay puts off heat a lot. You know, it's like not a lot of heat, but if you're trying to cram like billions of years of radiometric decay into the single year of Noah's flood, that's like, it would literally turn the surface of the earth to plasma, basically. And another factor of the heat problem is, so Answers in Genesis, which is a really popular creationist organization company. They say that before Noah's flood, we had, well, they use both. They don't really stick to one. They use Rodinia or Pangea, both of the most super popular supercontinents. And they say, while the flood was going on, that the continents were moving atop the mantle, which that would mean that the continents were moving at race car speeds and rubbing against each other on the mantle, which would put off a lot of heat. So that's one of the reasons why young Earth creationists cannot be a thing, because literally not be alive if you tried to shove all the radiometric decay and movement of the continents. It's pretty silly. The next thing is kind of more like one of their reasons why, like, actually this could have happened though. So the next thing, right, there's like no storage on the phone I'm using, so it always like is like no storage, not enough storage. It always like it cuts me off and it's so annoying. Okay, anyway, the next thing is that there was not enough room on this ark that is smaller than the Titanic for the millions of species that have been on the earth. So like, where do I start? So creationists, they've kind of come up with this solution that's like, well, what about kinds? Like, what about kinds? So they say that everything, like all lives, they had like, so my dog is it a dog kind, and they had two of the dog kind, and when they got off the ark, they repopulated all the dogs. And they say there's an elephant kind, right? Proboscidean kind. Elephant kind, it's Proboscidean kind. And that's like two of these like rudimentary Proboscideans got on the ark, and then they got off and repopulated. One problem with this is that there have been hundreds, we'll just use Proboscideans as our example. There have been hundreds of species of known Proboscideans, right? And if they got off the ark, every parent, every mother would be a different species from their children, and they'd be a different species from their children, and that would just go on and on. One thing I don't see a lot of people point out, but I have with this example, how do we have like hundreds of mammoth bones, right? But if there was only, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we have hundreds of these like old extinct species even before mammoth, like extinct, and there's so many fossils from them, and like, how is there that many fossils if, I feel like I'm not putting my point across very good. How is there that many fossils if there was only one of this species, right? Like let's just say, like the mammoth was like the second thing that got off the ark, right? Like the mammoth was the first child of the Proboscideans that got off the ark. Why do we have so many mammoth bones? Like, how is it possible, you know? It's not. Another problem with the kinds is that there is no, like, scientific genetic, they're eyeballing it. There's nothing that makes it, like, true. They're just eyeballing it. So, they put Asian and African elephants are obviously, they think, in the same kind. But, and then they have rats and mice in the same kind. And obviously tigers and lions in the same kind. Because obviously, like, they're like very morphologically similar. But they don't have humans and chimpanzees in the same kind because we're not animals, we're different, we're separate. But yeah, they don't have humans and chimps in the same kind, which is strange because the human-chimp genomic similarity is way bigger than we are more related to chimps than African elephants are to Asian elephants, than mice are to rats, or than tigers are to lions. So they're just going like, yeah, we might be related to them, but we're not really related to them. But these guys, they're related to each other. It makes sense. But yeah, so kinds, there's no like scientific thing. They're just saying that so it'll fit with their story. Which I find very silly because someone just screamed. Because sometimes it'll be on the family thing, but sometimes they separate chimps and bonobos or chimps and gorillas. It's just like, it just doesn't make sense, you know? So all in all, kinds are just a made up thing that they do to try and make sense of it, but it really doesn't work because there's no scientific backing of it. Another thing that messes with young earth creationism is the human-chimp genomic similarity. So humans and chimps are like, it's like 98.8% similar. And I believe it's the functional regions of the genome. But in alignment, we are more like, I think it's like 85% similar, more in the 80s than in the 90s. The problem with the alignment is that's like, if you took the sentence, my name is Zena, and you made a copy of that sentence, obviously if it was the same thing, then they're 100% similar. Maybe if you add a period, then they'll be a little less similar. But if you copy that sentence and it's like, I am Zena, then they're the same. Like, they have the same contents, but one is longer than the other. And not only are our chimps our closest living ancestors, but we are chimps' closest living ancestors, and they are our closest living ancestors. So we are more related to chimps, and they are more related to us than chimps are to bonobos or gorillas or any of the other extant apes. Another thing that creationists like to say is about Lucy. I believe she's Australopithecus afarensis. It's her species. And they like to say that she was not bipedal, that she was a quadrupedal ape, I guess. But that is just a straight up lie, because Lucy her species could not have morphologically been anything but a biped. She has the hole at the base of your skull. It's more forward, like ours is. That's where like your spine connects. So it's more like where a biped would be, because if she was a quadruped, she would have been like straining to look, because her head on all fours would, like she would have been straining her neck to look up, or the whole species would have. So I believe that's called the I've been avoiding saying it, but I was right. Like in my mind, the hole at the base of the skull is called the foramen magnum. I didn't want to say it wrong. That's why I was avoiding it. But your foramen magnum is like, it makes her necessarily a biped, otherwise she would have been craning her neck. Another thing that would have made her a biped is the iliac crest and her pelvic area. Just like the whole species, not just her. A chimpanzee is like, it's very like, it looks long, but a biped's iliac crest, their pelvic is much more round, like a bowl. I'll put a picture in. But this also makes her necessarily a biped, because it would have been painful and just not useful for a quadruped to have that anatomy. But a lot of creationists, they lie and say that, well, Lucy was not a biped, because we don't have it, and they say that we don't have enough of her skeleton. But she's not the only one of her species that we have the skeleton of. We have many Australopithecus afarensis skeletons. Like, Lucy's not the only one that we're going off of, It just, that's what assumptions do. It makes an ass out of you and umptions. Sorry. I saw a TikTok with that. Fool me once, shame on you. Fiddle me twice, or I don't know what I'm saying. I've just been sitting here brushing my hair for like 10 minutes. It's very therapeutic. Now I'm gonna speak a little bit about like me. I'm gonna speak about me because everyone wants to hear about me. So me, used to be a young earth creationist. I know it's horrendous, but I was raised in the church, and I don't have a problem with anyone being a Christian. I have a problem with young earth creationists. Because you can't be educated, truthful, and a young earth creationist. You can only be at most 2 out of those things. That's a quote I've heard. I don't remember where it's from. But young earth creationism is just inherently untruthful or unhonest. If you know science and you claim that young earth creationism is a thing, you're lying. You're just being dishonest. So, yeah, I remember when I was homeschooled, I used a Becca homeschooling. It's a Christian homeschool thing. I was only homeschooled for like 2 years. It was my 4th and 5th grade years I was homeschooled because of the pandemic. And we used a Becca. I never got to the point in any of my science books where I was being taught young earth creationism. Obviously, they were like, look at all these wonderful things God made. But at least I never paid attention when I did. And so I was always taught, like, I don't think that I was never explicitly told, oh, the earth is 6,000 years old. You know, I was never like, my mom or parents did never like, oh, the earth is 6,000 years old. And everyone, secular scientists are lying when they say, you know. But my mom was like, she would just say, like, how does it make sense? Like, evolution doesn't make sense, you know? And obviously, she was like, all these scientists, they were actually Christians. And yeah, I was just born and raised Christian. And I don't go to the church I used to because I moved. And I just think, is everyone there like a science denier too? Like my pastor, I loved him. He was an awesome guy. Does he like Ken Ham and Kent Hovind? Like, does he agree with these people? Oh, another thing I remember is that my mom was like, wouldn't that be cool to go see the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter? And now I know, because I've learned that about the Creation Museum because of the scientists that I watch and stuff. And it's just crazy that I almost was a person who loved Ken Ham's Creation Museum. That could have been me. Basically, I was like, they tried to like indoctrinate me because that's what that is. That's indoctrination. And unfortunately, they also gave me unlimited internet access. So now all I watch is scientists on YouTube because science is so interesting. I want to be a biological anthropologist. I want to study human evolution or something about evolution. interesting to me. It's so interesting and fascinating. And just recently, this is when I like, this is probably in April actually, no, probably March. I was watching Lindsay Nicole's video, one of her Life on Earth as We Know It videos, and I watched the section on whale evolution, and I was like talking to my dad, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool, like whales return to the water, like pachycetus and like rhodocetus and all that stuff. And his girlfriend goes, oh, but you don't believe in all that human evolution stuff. What's a kid do when you tell them not to look at something or not to touch it? They're gonna look at something and touch it. So of course, I was like, when I was watching one of Lindsay Nicole's next Life on Earth as We Know It videos, it was the one that Gutsy Gibbon was in. And so I went to her channel and I learned about primates and human evolution. My life has been way better since, because I'm not infested with the dogma of young earth creationists anymore. It's totally popular to believe in secular science or be a science affirming Christian, but I don't know if I believe in that stuff anymore. And that's okay, because I don't know if I want to be associated with that crowd. I don't want to be associated with the MAGA people of the world. Okay, this was kind of like not the most informative video, because this is all just off the top of my head. I did have to look up the names of the bones I was trying to talk about when I was talking about Lucy. I'll put in pictures when I'm editing this, because I don't know, it's just make everything easier. Definitely go check out the YouTubers I mentioned if you think that you're interested in stuff like human evolution and stuff like that. They are very informative. Erica is Gutsy Gibbon is a primatologist, and yeah, I love watching her videos on repeat. I watch like at least one every single day. The one I'm currently working on is the Fight Laugh Feast convention review. I've watched it before like a bunch of times, but I just love it, so I'm rewatching it. Okay, so yeah, that was it for this video. I kind of just wanted to like talk about my interests. I have a big interest in this stuff, so hopefully you got some tingles from the tapping. I tried to keep it like going around and keep tapping. So hopefully you like the video, and I'll see you in my next post. Bye.